Okay, so how do we create a variable? First of all, I want to talk just a little bit about selecting a name for your variable. In math class, as I mentioned in the first part, we used let x and y equal height and width. But later on in the programming, when we look at that variable, we're not going to know what it is. So it's helpful to give it a name that represents the value that it's holding. In the first part, you saw that I used first name. So when I scan through my code later on, I'll see that variable. I know what value that variable is holding. The next point I want to make is that all the programming languages have special words referred to as reserved words that you're not allowed to use as variables. So here's a tip for staying within the lines of what's going to make a good variable and not cause any problems. As I mentioned, if you can give it a name with context, that helps you tremendously looking through your code. The second part is if you always start your variable with a lowercase letter and put an uppercase letter in it someplace, there's no reserved word that starts with a lowercase letter and has an uppercase letter in it. You will always be safe. Additionally, make sure there's no spaces in your variable name as well. It has to be a continuous line of characters. So as long as the first letter is a lowercase letter and there's an uppercase letter in there someplace with no spaces, you'll always be fine. Okay, so let's take a look at JavaScript. I'm going to call it JS for short. JavaScript statement for creating a variable starts with the keyword var, V-A-R, var, and then the name of your variable. In this case, let's stick with first name. And as every statement in JavaScript ends with a semicolon. I declare a variable. What's great about JavaScript and other languages is that you're also able to give it a value in the same statement. And by that, I mean you can declare it var last name is declaring it. You can also assign it a value in the same statement, semicolon at the end of it. So that's JavaScript, declaring the variable and giving it value in one statement. In PHP, variables are easy to spot because they all start with a $sign. So $, first name. And like JavaScript, you're also able to assign it a value in the same statement that you declare it, also ending with a semicolon. Now, C# is a little more demanding. It wants to know the type of data you're going to store in that box. So by type of data, I mean, is it a word? Is it a number? Is it a decimal? Is it a true or false value? So you need to declare that when you declare the variable. So in the previous example, we had the rate of pay and the hours. So if you're only allowed to work full hours and not a half hour, quarter hour, that would be an integer. So in C# we would say int, short for integer, int my hours equals 10, semicolon. If the rate of pay, say it was not a whole number, if it was say $12.50, we would use the decimal data type for that. So decimal, my rate equals 12.5. So it's a little more particular, but you can see the structure of a declaring variable is pretty much the same. The name of it, you can assign a value to it, and then a semicolon to end the statement. And that's how we create variables in 3 programming languages. Thanks for watching this tutorial.